Namaste. Some people are very unfortunate when it comes to relationships. They fail multiple times in relationships. So, in this podcast, I have highlighted certain astrological placements that lead to such kind of failures in relationships. The larger question is that why some people fail in relationships whereas some are successful in relationships. And the answer is in one line: your past life prarabdha. Prarabdha is one type of karma. Prarabdha is directly connected with your past life karma. And it is your karma that always comes and finds you. No matter where you escape, karma will always come and catch you. That is why one should focus on doing good karma. But good karma is possible only when you bring awareness in your life. And awareness comes in your life only when you focus on your day to day, your routine practice, your routine life. Whether you are meditating, whether you are chanting, whether you are reading some holy scriptures. Because all these things impact your mind. When the mind remains positive, you can do certain good things in life. So everything is connected. And everything is possible. You can make a change in your life, a positive change. But for that, you have to begin. And as they say, every long journey begins with a single step. And once you take the step, you should not stop. You should be consistent in whatsoever you are doing. So, in this podcast, I have talked briefly on the astrological indications that signify a challenging relationship, a difficult relationship. So, let's begin. Life is multidimensional. Similarly, astrology is also multidimensional. Just one bad Venus is not the reason for failures in relationships. Instead, a certain family of planets is responsible for failure in relationships. So now I will be discussing about each family member, planet that affect your relationships. Let's begin with Moon, because everything begins with the state of your mind. Mind is the king when it comes to human affairs. And so the very first condition is that Moon should not be afflicted by Rahu, Ketu, Shani or Mars. And Moon should not be placed in 4th, 8th or 12th. If Moon is afflicted by Rahu, Ketu, Shani or Mars, and if it is placed in 4th, 8th or 12th house, then it is a big problem when it comes to relationships. The second condition is when the sign lord of the moon sign is retrograde or combust. Example, Moon is in Pisces and Jupiter is retrograde or combust or afflicted by Rahu, Ketu or Pluto. Pluto is a very dark planet. And if Pluto is with Mercury or if Pluto is with Moon, then also it is a very, very big challenge when it comes to relationship. So the very first point is to check the state of your moon, mind, in the birth chart. The second family member after Moon is Mercury. Mercury is about applying logic, and so if Mercury is messed up in your chart, then you will be in trouble, and such a troubled Mercury will cause many misunderstandings in your relationship. So, observe closely the condition of Mercury. If Mercury is retrograde and Jupiter is weak or afflicted, or if Mercury is placed in 8th or 12th house in an enemy sign, or if Mercury is in Magha, Mula or Ashwini Nakshatra, then your Mercury can create much trouble in your relationship. Professionally, you may succeed in your intellectual pursuits, but personal relationships will continue to fail miserably. The third family member is Saturn, Shani Dev. Saturn is extremely important as it governs the 11th house in the Kala Purush Kundali, and 11th house is a highly sexual house, house of many desires and house of fulfillment of desires. Remember, 11th house, that is Aquarius, is a part of the Kama Trikona. Kama Trikona means the sexual angle. If Saturn is weak, or if Saturn is with Rahu or Ketu, or if you have a very close Mars-Saturn conjunction, then you will be tested in your relationship, and you may also find yourself unfortunate in the matters of love relationships. You simply fail to hold on to your relationship. You may experience multiple relationship breakups in life. The fourth family member is Jupiter. Jupiter is Vivek. Jupiter is all about keeping your promises. And when you fall in love and when you are in a deep relationship, you have made promises to each other. Promises of love, promises of living together forever. And so these promises will not break only if Jupiter is clean, strong, and has no affliction in the birth chart. If Jupiter is in Capricorn and Saturn is afflicted, then your relationship will be always in a mess. Or if Jupiter is with Rahu or Ketu, then also your relationship will end in a misery. Finally, the fifth and the utmost important family member in the affairs of love relationship is Venus. Many people think that if Venus is in Virgo, then relationships will fail. That is wrong. Relationship fails when Venus is in Virgo and Mercury, the Lord of Virgo sign, is combust or retrograde or placed in 8th or 12th house. Or as mentioned earlier, if Mercury is with Rahu or Ketu, then also it is a big problem for relationships. So don't just focus on Venus in Virgo, because Venus will stay in the sign of Virgo for around 28 days. So everybody who is born in those 28 days is not going to fail in relationships. However, if Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn, Moon, as mentioned earlier, if all these four family members are in trouble, are uncomfortable, then your relationship is going to fail. So find out the condition of Mercury, Moon, Saturn and Jupiter in your birth chart along with Venus. Whenever Venus is with Mars, that is whenever Venus-Mars conjunction is there, relationships fail. And the native goes through multiple passionate relationships. Whenever Venus is with Ketu, the native may have strange ideas about sex and love, and some may even become gay or lesbians. Whenever Venus is with Rahu, too much inclination towards enjoying sex outside marriage is seen. I have known certain folks who are married but they just go out on the streets to sleep with prostitutes. They become obsessed towards enjoying sex with prostitutes or any other woman outside their marriage. However, if Jupiter is strong in the chart, then they may not sleep with prostitutes, but still they will have much interest in having extramarital relationships. Whenever Venus is with Sun, the native may face certain sexual issues. I have known certain folks who ejaculate soon or they just can't get the sexual satisfaction, though they don't fall short in satisfying their female partners. So overall, Venus afflicted by Rahu, Ketu, Mars or Sun can cause certain sexual, emotional issues in life. If the chart is very poor in quality, then such a native may also commit suicide because of failures in relationship. So overall, failure in relationship is not just because of one bad planet. It is because of multiple bad planetary placements, and this happens because of your own past life bad karma. Yesterday, Mohan asked a good question. Mohan asked, if someone abuse me, then is it that someday he will receive the same abuse from me? The answer is no. It is not necessary that if someone abuse you, then a day will come when he too will become a target of abuse. But that abuse can come from anybody, not necessary from you. Similarly, if you caused much havoc and pain in somebody's love relationship, then not necessary that specific person has to come back in this birth to give you punishment. Somebody else can give you punishment. And so it is not important that who gives you punishment. It is important that you get punishment for your past life bad karma. When a person fails in love, then someday the person starts falling in love with God. And that is indeed the very first step towards real transformation. And once he starts walking on the path towards God, then there is no looking back. Few months back, I met one such man. He said that he was in love with a beautiful woman and he was so madly in love with her. But then one day that woman cheated and he was devastated. And then he spent many days in depression when one fine day he met an old man. And the old man was walking on the road. But there was something about this old man, his smile, his grace, his peace, his presence. His presence was so divine. And so this man rushed towards that old man and touched his feet and said, "You are somebody. I can feel your divinity. Please help me. I am a lost man." The old man smiled. His smile was so sweet that the man was touched. The old man looked into his eyes and said, "Don't worry. That is what I do. I bring lost men back home. Come, follow me." And then the young man started following the old man. And the old man gave him a new perspective towards life. One day the old man said, "Raghav," that was his name. "Raghav, the passion and intensity that you had for that woman, if the same passion and intensity you show towards realizing God, then how beautiful it will be." Those words did the magic. Raghav's heart was changed and he was no more the same. He took to God and there was no looking back. Raghav's eyes were filled with tears as he looked up in the sky and then he said, लोग मोहब्बत में शराबी बनते हैं, मुझे तो तेरे इश्क ने नमाजी बना दिया. Meaning, people become drunkards in ordinary love, but I became a prayerful man in God's love, spiritual love. Friends, everything is possible if you have some depth of understanding. But this kind of understanding and transformation comes only if you have at least one supporting planet in your birth chart. Else, people simply become drunkards in ordinary love. Ordinary love is based on sex, emotions, and mutual bonding. Ordinary love is not unconditional, but God's love is unconditional. Nobody is going to cheat you when you walk towards God, when you are thirsty for God's love. Jesus says, if anyone thirsts, let him come to me and drink. The spiritual masters are filled with abundance of unconditional love. Whosoever comes is welcome. The great divine master, Mahavatar Babaji says, if you come to doubt, I'll give you every reason to doubt. If you come suspicious, I will give you every reason to be suspicious. But if you come seeking love, I'll show you more love than you have ever known. So when you fail again and again in relationships, then you should know that you are made for the higher calling. You should know that you are not made for ordinary love relationships. You are made for God's love. You are the special child of God and you should start walking back home. That's what the old man had said to the young man. My job is to bring you back home, God's home. So come you all, lasting love, eternal love, true love, unconditional love is only possible in God's abode. That is where you will find peace, joy, and bliss. Meditate and chant and open your heart and start your conversations with God. Jai Sri Ganesha, Jai Guru. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha.